I hate Young Buck, fam. Buck is a big, so we ain't gonna talk about Buck at all, period.
If you're between 30 and 55, you've probably had that moment, the back that ass up moment. Maybe you danced, maybe you watched, but you remember. And when that violin hit, game over. Shy kids turned bold, rooms lit up, and Black girls made sure twerking stayed untouchable. Thanks to Juvenile, Manny Fresh, and a young Lil Wayne lurking in the background. But let's rewind real quick. Before he was a club anthem king, Terrius Gray, government name, was just a rebellious kid sneaking out of his mama's house to rap. He started spitting bars at 11, even though his mom wasn't feeling it. She wasn't about to raise no rapper, so Juvie had to sneak off just to perform at local shows.
Pretty much, they used me up, took me to the studio, not really old enough to go in clubs or go on the road, and I wrote a lot of music.
The neighborhood kids weren't exactly supportive either, mocking him and calling him a little juvenile, and that's how he got his name. He formed his first group, 3 Grand, in the early 90s, and by 16, they'd already dropped a project called 3 Bad Brothers.
Pop MCs and a lot of whack mother, well, you know, Snow started looking.
But Juvenile had bigger plans and a solo grind to match. At this time, Juvie was still posted up between both of his grandmother's housing projects, one in the infamous Magnolia Projects, where poverty was just part of the scenery.
I probably seen more as a kid going backwards and forward to my grandmother in the Melphamine Project than I seen in the Magnolia.
But instead of folding to the environment, he built from it. Juvie got his first real shine in the early 90s when he popped up on a couple of DJ Jimmy Bounce tracks, It's Jimmy and Bounce for the Juvenile.
Now bounce for the juvenile, bounce for the juvenile, bounce trick, bounce, bounce, bounce.
That early exposure got him moving, and by 95, he dropped his debut solo album, Being Myself.
To the Lord I conversate to end all his hate.
It didn't chart, didn't make national noise, but back home in New Orleans, it gave him a little buzz. And that was all he needed to grab attention, especially from one local powerhouse, Cash Money Records. Cash Money saw the vision. In 97, Juvenile made his label debut with Soldier Rags.
About that paper, you on top, you handling business. You doing well, down with your partners to the finish.
Featuring the future faces of the Cash Money empire, Magnolia Shorty, Big Mo, the Big Timers, and a group called the Hot Boys, which included a young Lil Wayne, BG, and Turk. The album moved 200,000 units strictly off Southern love. No radio push, no crossover hype, just real ones vibing with it. That buzz was too loud to ignore. Universal came knocking, and Cash Money walked away with a $30 million distribution deal. Major bag alert. And with that kind of backing, Juvenile dropped the bomb in 1998, one of the best rap albums ever till date, 400 Degrees.
You gotta go to court now. You got service subpoena for child support now.
That was the one that flipped the switch and turned him into a household name. Let's be honest, nobody expected the album to go that crazy. Like 4 million copies sold off an album with 2 singles? Nah, the whole country had to sit up and pay attention because this wasn't polite rap. This was straight out the block, bounce heavy, no translator needed New Orleans heat. Juvie didn't clean anything up. He came in with the slang, the attitude, the baby oil on the album cover and said either you get it or you don't. And turns out a lot of people got it.
I try to make songs that's not about me all the time. Even back at that, it ain't about me, it's about the women.
400 Degrees didn't sound like anything else. It was messy in the best way, full of rhythm, sharp edges, and that raspy Juvenile flow that felt like somebody telling you the wildest story over a beat. With Ha, he was asking you a question, roasting you, and narrating your life all in one go. And then boom, Back That Ass Up comes in like a party grenade. To this day, when that violin drops, it's over. People could be mid-argument at a cookout and still run to the dance floor. It's the reason we even use the word twerk today without blinking. Rolling Stone ended up putting it on their list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. And honestly, they were late to the party. Even 50 Cent, who once joked about Juvenile looking like a bottle of baby oil on the album cover, had to backtrack once he saw the album blow up. You can't hate on numbers, and 400 Degrees was undeniable. And this was all happening during one of the most competitive years in rap history. DMX dropped 2 #1 albums in a single year. Jay-Z was turning into a superstar with Volume 2, and Lauryn Hill was redefining everything with The Miseducation. Yet somehow, in the middle of all that, a rapper from New Orleans with a thick accent and a bounce beat managed to make the South impossible to ignore. After setting the South on fire with 400 Degrees, Juvenile was on top of the world. But things behind the scenes weren't so peachy. See, Juve had one very simple rule. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But when the checks weren't checking and the paperwork started looking funny, he became the first to dip from Cash Money, and he did it his way. He ended up taking Cash Money to court over financial issues, but there was never any bad blood. Juvenile later mentioned seeing them at the club right after the lawsuit, still celebrating with champagne, even while they still owed him. For him, it was strictly business. No hard feelings, no drama too deep to block the bag.
Any kind of animosity we had between each other was definitely going to be gone. I don't hold grudges. I'm not one of them people to hold a grudge.
He later admitted, though, that he still had mixed feelings about the label. He wasn't angry, but he definitely had things to get off his chest. He believed they hadn't paid him his fair share, especially considering how much he contributed to their early success. During this time, he also spoke about how Ice Cube stepped in and helped him out behind the scenes, and he offered some advice to younger artists coming up. Interestingly, he also suspected that Lil Wayne might not be getting everything he was owed either. And yeah, turns out he was right. In 2015, Lil Wayne hit Cash Money with a $51 million lawsuit, accusing them of holding back money, blocking his album to Carter 5, and playing games with the Drake deal under Young Money. But despite all the tension, Juvenile ended up returning to Cash Money that same year, 2015. He confirmed that he had officially re-signed, putting the past behind him and moving forward with a clean slate. The business might have gotten messy, but the respect was still intact, and Juvenile knew how to keep it pushing without burning bridges. But a lot happened before 2015. After leaving Cash Money in 2001, he gathered a crew: Wacko, Skip, Corey C, Soldier Slim, and Young Buck. And together, they formed UTP. It wasn't just a group, it was a brotherhood with a shared mission: represent for the city and speak for the streets. Juve's smart mindset paid off big time. After 3 more platinum albums, That G Code,
Rapper, but I'm still a gorilla. You understand? I'll whip you like the Thriller Manila. You understand?
Project English,
They lied. They lied to you.
and Juve the Great,
Juve the Great, Juve the Great, Juve the Great, this is Juve the Great.
he locked in the biggest deal of his career with Atlantic Records. By 2004, he was running the game again. Slow Motion topped the Billboard charts, and UTP's biggest hit, Nolia Clap, dropped in 2004 and cracked the Billboard Hot 100, peaking at number 31. Anyways, with the release of Reality Check in 2006, Juvenile wasn't just delivering bars. He was producing, engineering, and leveling up his storytelling. He considered it his best work yet, the kind of album he never imagined he could create in his early days. With Manny Fresh lending his signature bounce to the production, plus contributions from Scott Storch and Cool and Dre, the album had that old-school Juve feel with a polished edge. Juvenile reportedly looked to the Chronic for inspiration, wanting to build an album that felt like a tight-knit crew effort, not just a solo mission. Skip and Wacko were all over the project, and the features list was stacked. Mike Jones, Paul Wall, Trey Songz, and more. According to Juvenile, it was a no skips kind of project. Every track could stand on its own. After his run with Atlantic, Juvenile pivoted to independent releases. He dropped Cocky and Confident, Beast Mode, Rejuvenation, and The Fundamentals. Staying raw and real while still pushing his sound forward. Sure, he's a rap icon, but Juve's also a husband, a dad, and at one point, basically a VIP guest at the local police station. Let's start on a sweet note. In September 2024, Juvenile and his wife celebrated 20 years of marriage, and from the way he posted about it on Instagram, they're still going strong. He said they've been together forever, called her the love of his life, and honestly, it was adorable. They have kids together, with their youngest being 25 years old. Juve's son, Demetrius Gray, aka Young Juve, is also a rapper, and they are both actively working together in the music industry, creating a unique father-son dynamic within hip-hop. At 16, the kid begged for a '71 Glass House Chevy Caprice for his birthday. Juvenile, being the typical black father he is, handed him a laptop, Pro Tools, and some recording gear instead. The teen was salty at first, but that moment ended up launching his music career and strengthening their bond. Dad move unlocked. But as beautiful as that father-son story is, the Gray family's journey has also been marked by real tragedy. In 2023, young Juve was shot in the face while sitting in a vehicle. A video from the scene showed the car full of bullet holes and busted windows. When asked if he turned the trauma into a track, he said no way. Respectfully, he chose peace over playlist. Unfortunately, the family had already seen how devastating gun violence could be. In 2008, Juvenile's daughter, Jelani, just 4 years old, was tragically killed alongside her mother, Joy DeLeston, and half-sister, Mikaela. That kind of loss doesn't just hurt, it leaves permanent bruises on the soul. And as for Juvenile himself, look, this man racked up more charges in the early 2000s than some folks have sneakers. Seriously, for a while, it seemed like he couldn't stay out of trouble to save his life. In 2001, things got chaotic outside a Miami comedy club when Juvenile allegedly smacked a man with a champagne bottle, knocked him out cold, then ran up to a cop, grabbed him, and basically demanded to be arrested, because why not? He later pleaded guilty to felony battery and was handed 75 hours of community service. Honestly, 75 hours is light work considering the WWE level plot of that night. But wait, he wasn't done. In 2002, he turned himself in to New Orleans police after allegedly beating up and robbing his own barber. According to reports, the whole thing went down in a grocery store, and yes, it started over bootleg CDs. Apparently, Juvenile thought the barber was burning copies of his music, so he allegedly threw hands, and then two of his people took $200 from the man's pocket. Imagine catching a fade and getting robbed over mixtapes. And yes, there's still more, because apparently Juvenile's rap sheet has chapters. Early 2003, he got arrested again. This time it was a mix of weed, cocaine, and seriously bad timing. So here's the scene. He's riding in a rented Lincoln Town car with a few other people, right? Cops pulled him over at a checkpoint in New Orleans, just making sure folks have insurance. But then the smell hit. The officers catch a heavy whiff of loud coming from the car. They peek inside, and there it is. 2 fully lit blunts just chilling in the ashtray like extras in the Cash Money video. But it doesn't stop there. When the cops pop the trunk, surprise again! There's a little stash of coke tucked in the back. So now what started as a weed stop just turned into a whole possession of cocaine charge. Everyone in the car cuffed up on the spot. Other than this endless list, he's also been jailed multiple times, including in 2017 due to a child support debt. And do we even go into his whole shouting match with American Airlines over a first-class seat? That one practically live-streamed itself. But just so you know, Juve is not just out here stacking charges. Man's got business acumen too. In 2020, he flipped the script and started Made by Juvie, a whole furniture line with a southern twist. And by 2023, he was pouring up a new kind of hustle, Juvie Juice, a collab with Urban South Brewery that had fans sipping in his honor. The rap sheet might be long, but so's the resume. And how could we forget 2005, right? Right before Hurricane Katrina hit, Juvenile had just wrapped up his reality check album when the storm came through and leveled his home by Lake Pontchartrain. Everything was gone. His clothes, his memories, his whole world underwater. At first, he hit pause on music to help out with relief efforts. But over time, he noticed what too many did. The aid wasn't making it to the people who needed it most, especially in the lower Ninth Ward. So, he channeled that pain into purpose. Get Your Hustle On wasn't just another track. It was a battle cry. He became the first artist allowed to film in the lower Ninth Ward after the floodwaters receded, spending days shooting near the broken levees. What he captured wasn't just rubble. The video, the documentary, the message, they all hit differently. And here we are now. Juvenile, real name Terrius Gray, is 50 years old, half a century of life, rap, grief, hustle, wild detours, and survival. He's not living in a mansion with Grammys on the shelf. His net worth, roughly $500K. But that number doesn't begin to tell his story. He might not be topping the charts anymore, but he's still standing, still showing up, still living proof that sometimes just making it out alive is the flex.